doing today, guys? This is Jomar from Loading Incomplete. What I have for you guys here today is my two daily drivers that I use throughout the day, or the last two phones that I've been using for the past year or so. On this hand, we have the OnePlus 9 Pro 5G, and then we have the Pixel 6 Pro. Both of these phones I actually use as like my daily drivers. And with that, they both have their own strengths and weaknesses. I mean, for the most part, we all know what kind of happened with the Pixel 6 Pro, with the whole debacle with the updates, and then also like the charging and the performance, etc. But also too, the OnePlus 9 Pro also had its own share of updates and issues as well. I mean, for the most part, a lot of people were kind of flipping out about the whole Oxygen OS, Color OS fiasco. And to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually have grown to actually be okay with Color OS or Oxygen OS or both or whatever. And for the most part, wow, my notifications are just going off crazy on this phone. For the most part, both of these phones are really solid, especially with the OnePlus 9 Pro. This is actually going on almost 2 years with this phone. And I actually opted not to get the 10 Pro just because of that whole thing that I think jerry-rig everything, what he did when he snapped the phone in half. That was crazy. Like, I was sitting there, I'm like, no way did that really just happen. So with that, let's see, let's go ahead and start with the OnePlus 9 Pro. So this is totally unscripted, by the way. I'm just kind of freeballing it because I didn't really feel like kind of writing a script for this. So for the most part, I love this phone, the OnePlus 9 Pro. From the charging speeds to the performance, and this is the phone that I actually game on. I don't know if you guys play, I'm pretty sure everybody does play it, but Call of Duty, Apex Legends, things like that. This is my phone for that. And for the most part, what's crazy about this phone is that the updates made this phone a lot better. Don't get me wrong, I loved Oxygen OS 11 that it had, but over time, using 12 and, well, now 13, it's made a difference, especially with the cameras. That's one thing that I noticed that this phone actually improved upon. When I first got the phone, the telephoto camera on this, I'm pretty sure it was software, it was terrible. Like, when you would zoom in past like even like 10x, the picture looks so blurry it didn't even make sense. And then over time, with each iteration, each update, it actually got better. And now, like, for the most part, like the pictures, I actually like them, especially with like the zoom lens. Like, it has really surprised me as far as like the quality of the pictures and everything. Like, this one was taken with the zoom lens. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the 3 times telephoto. But other than that, like, for me, I would switch, especially with my line of work. I do, so there'd be a lot of times where we would be running around and I wouldn't have enough time to actually charge up my phone, especially with this one, but we'll get to that later. But for the most part, like, this phone being able to get like 50% in like 15 minutes, that is like extremely useful. And it did change my charging habits and my expectations with a lot of phones. And I wish that a lot of other manufacturers, especially like Samsung and also Google, would do that, or most notably Apple too as well, would kind of start doing that as far as like improving the charging speeds. But for the most part, like with this phone, being able to do everything like saving notes, having to pull something up because like the 5G coverage on this phone is spectacular. Actually, for most of the phones, I've never had any problems with like connectivity. And this is the unlocked model too as well. And I used it on T-Mobile. Worked out perfectly. As far as any faults with the phone, to be honest, I really don't have any. Like, it kind of sucks that this phone doesn't use eSIM, because I just recently purchased my iPhone 14 Pro Max, and as you know, they don't have a SIM card slot on there, and it's kind of crazy that they did that, but we already know how that goes. They're trying to, make sure that you stay locked in the Apple ecosystem. But with that, being able to switch numbers with the iPhone and the Pixel is pretty easy because they both use eSIM. Unfortunately, the OnePlus 9 Pro does not, and I don't even think the 10 Pro does either. But it's whatever. For the most part, like if I did want to use this again, I do have extra SIMs laying around, and I could probably switch back. So now, onto the Pixel 6 Pro. This one, whew, oh my gosh. So for the most part, when this phone first came out, as you all know, I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably saw online, there were so many issues with this phone. It did not make sense. Like, especially for the company that makes Android to have this many issues on their phone, it didn't make sense. But then again, look what's happening with the iPhone 14 series, because I've been having issues with that too as well. So it happens, every single company is not perfect, but it was pretty bad. And that's one of the reasons why I kept switching back to this, because I could not stand the overheating, the drop calls, pretty much the phone just, dialing back to like 60 hertz when it had a full battery. It was pretty annoying. But over time, Google actually fixed all that stuff. And then with the Android 13 update, it kind of sucks because, the new one's actually just got released today. This is how this phone should have been from the get-go. Like, now, even though I've been using the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I miss this phone. I actually miss using it as my daily driver. And that's partly because of the software updates. So with this phone, even the charge speed seems like they've actually improved too as well. I noticed that it's not taking as long to charge up the phone. But with this phone, as you already know, the cameras on this phone, oh my God, like it's no comparison with any other phones. And I know a lot of people are probably just like, oh no, the iPhone 14 or iPhones can do this. And I'm like, yeah, for the most part, they're pretty reliable, like with iPhones, but with this, it's almost like a cheat code with taking pictures. Like, and a lot of my friends on social media, they usually give me comments or they'll send me like a message like, what are you using? And it's this phone. And what's even crazier, in my opinion too, that I feel a lot of people don't give this phone that much credit for, is the video quality. To me, besides the occasional grain that does show up on the screen, which is pretty annoying, or in the film footage, the video quality on this, to me, is like right up there with the iPhone almost. Because I've seen Samsung video, I've seen other YouTubers with their, like video footage and everything. And to me, this phone is like right there, or it's like second to none. Let's see. Also too, with the features too, like between the two, they both have their own type of features. My thing is like, I love the customizations on, with Oxygen OS on the OnePlus. But I really love, like call screening, hold for me, the magic eraser, even though this actually has its own kind of, let's say magic eraser kind of thing. It has its own thing in like the tools. I noticed that I noticed that a few days ago. Yeah, the eraser right there. So there's a lot of features that both of these phones have, but yeah, with the Pixel, you know what you're kind of getting into when you get that, or when you get these. As far as the screens go, they're both very beautiful. And for the most part, I've never had any issues like seeing anything outdoors or anything like that. Watching things on both of these are extremely nice. The loudspeakers on the OnePlus, sometimes they feel like they lack a little bit of bass, but they do get pretty loud. Versus the Pixel, which actually to me kind of reminds me of the speakers that you get on like the iPhone or even like the Galaxy. Like there's bass. They don't get as loud as the OnePlus 9 Pro, but they get the job done. Gaming on the Pixel, even though the tensor wasn't made for that, I can do it. You know, for the most part, I have like I love having like the settings maxed out over performance, which is kind of stupid, especially because I do play competitively on Call of Duty. But I've never had any issues with that. Let's see. And as far as like the battery life goes though, for the most part, after the Android 13 update for the Pixel, it was kind of weird. I felt like I did lose a lot of battery life, and I saw that online. And then they issued a patch, and that kind of brought it back up to about like 4 hours of screen on time, because before that I was getting like only 2 hours, and that was ridiculous, especially going to work. So now I'm just like, I can't do anything with that. Like, what the heck? Like, I barely walk away from my desk, and next thing you know, phone's almost dead. And then not to mention that it takes forever for this phone to charge. I know that it says like 2 hours, but for the most part it feels like it's like 2.5 hours sometimes with the Pixel. But not now, after that update. So now I'm getting about maybe about like 4.5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours sometimes. Now with the OnePlus 9 Pro, it does have a smaller battery. It's at 4,500 milliamps versus 5,000. This one actually, I think I get about like 4.5 hours. Sometimes I get 5, sometimes I get 6. But then again, you have those crazy charging speeds. So, yep. Now for the most part, these phones right now, they are both on sale because, you know, they've already been pretty much replaced. For the most part, I would probably, you know, if you're in the market to try to get a phone, if you can find either one of these, you know, at a pretty good deal, I would pick either one of them up. I know a lot of people say that OnePlus is not the same company as they once were, which is true. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like Oppo's kind of punishing OnePlus by giving them kind of like the watered down versions of their phones, which is ridiculous because it's stupid to me. It's like, I could see if Oppo offered their own phones here in the US, then, you know, I could see them kind of phasing out the brand. But to me, it's like, why are you killing off your own brand, especially if it's pretty successful? But that's besides the point. I feel like this is like the last greatest OnePlus phone, in my opinion. But if you can find them on sale, I would probably, you know, consider picking them. Either one of them just depends on what you kind of need or what you expect out of your phone. If you expect like raw power and insane charging speeds, go with the OnePlus. Or if you just love, you know, taking pictures, video, or just having kind of like a seamless experience, which you'll probably get with both phones, but, you know, like having, you know, like if you have a whole bunch of robocalls or spammers calling your phone, or you just have people calling you in general and you just don't want to answer it, and you just want to block them and have Google kind of tell them off, because I've had that happen to me before, I would go with the Pixel. So for right now, to be honest, after this video, I'm probably going to switch back to the Pixel until my Pixel 7 Pro arrives. So hopefully you guys found this video useful. Please, you know, click the bell icon, hit subscribe, you know, all that stuff. And until the next one, this is Loading Complete, and this is Jomar. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.